In this video, we're going to look at inverse functions. We're going to make 3 points about inverse functions that you have to know for the exam, and then we're going to look at an example. First of all, what is an inverse function? In a previous video, we looked at what functions are. Here's a function on the board. It maps the domain to the range. A lot of functions have an inverse, though not all of them. The inverse of a function maps the range back to the domain. And it's denoted with this symbol f, which looks like a power to the -1, but it's not a power. And that is the first point we're going to make about inverse functions. The second point we're going to make is something you just have to learn off by heart, and that is that if you have the graph of the original function, you can easily sketch the graph of the inverse, because the inverse is the original graph reflected in the line y equals x. I'll write a point down and then we'll have a quick look at an example. Alright, to see an example, suppose I have a curve here. We didn't need the equation, to be honest, but it's y equals x squared. If I wanted to sketch the inverse of that, I could do it quite easily just by reflecting the curve in the line y equals x. So the inverse of this function looks like this. And you probably know the equation of that curve as well. The final point to make about inverse functions is that not every function has an inverse. They only exist for one-to-one functions, not many-to-one. Let's have a look at why. I'll write the point down and then we'll look at why. Alright, here's an example. So to see why it doesn't exist for other types of functions, I'd like you to consider the function x squared. Okay, let's choose a really small domain for it. I've just got 2 numbers in the domain. Alright, okay, so let's apply this map to the 2 points in the domain. So you've got 5 and -5. Okay. If you square both of them, they go to the same number, which is 25. Now ask yourself, what type of mapping is that? The answer is, it's many to one. It is a function, but it's a many to one function. Supposing you wanted to find the inverse. Remember, the inverses go from the range back to the domain. So, the inverse function needs to map 25 back to -5 and also 5. The inverse function is going from 1 to many. And a one-to-many mapping is not a function. So although the original function is a function, the inverse is not. Hence, inverses only exist when you have a one-to-one mapping, not a many-to-one.